Question of the day: if you could go to one place on earth that you've seen in all the mysterious places or beautiful places or wondrous places of the world books, what would it be? Me, number one, is Petra. I would love to see Petra, mainly because of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, but also I would love to see that, or Qumran, or some of those kind of ancient Near East areas that are just hot spots for just history, just whether it be Babylonian or first century Israeli history, or Sumerian, or any of that kind of stuff, Egyptian, all of that kind of, that cradle of life or whatever, Mesopotamia. I would love to see some of those sites, right? Followed by the Nazca lines. But anyway, why do I bring that up? Because Rapa Nui, I'm sure that's how that's pronounced because I'm from Alabama. We always get it right. Rapa Nui is a game all about Easter Island, is also called. And yes, it's okay to call it that because it calls it that in the rule books. Don't get on my case, all right? I know how we can be sometimes, right? Anyway, think about my stew review. I had no clue that would send people into upset. So, this game is a game all about Easter Island, and you are the people who, the first peoples there who lived there and created these statues and everything like that. So what does it look like? How does it play? What is Rapa Nui? It's this kind of streamlined network game from Madigo. So let's take a look right now. This is Rapa Nui all set up for a two-player game. Now there's one other thing where you would get an Ahu tile to start off with. These are certain benefits that the rulebook does a very good job of explaining exactly what they do right here. These Ahu tiles, there are many, many different types of what they do and what they benefit you with. But essentially, it is a worker placement game that has a little bit of train mechanic to it. On the first phase, you're going to place your workers. Now, you have different types of workers to use. First of all, you have a sorcerer, I believe. What was his name? A sorcerer? This guy. He is going to determine turn order. Now, the first player cannot choose to use this character first, which would essentially lock in first player every single time. That is the one kind of caveat that stops them from doing that. Your other workers here, you've got 4 of them, are able to be placed on different spots on the board. If you put them out here, for instance, they can be sculptors. So if I put it here, this is a sculptor going to make these Maui figures here. You know what? I'm going to butcher them all. But the Easter Island statue figures here, the Rapa Nui statues, you're going to make those by doing this. Small ones take 1, mediums take 2, and large ones take 3. Obviously, that's what this is all about here. Your chief, once you gain your chief here, can go here and kind of be a all-time quarterback. They can go down here and be one of these. No matter how many spaces are full, you would be able to use your chief in that aspect. That's how you build these. Now, that's where you're placing your workers. And the other things you can do is place your workers for transport. Now, these are important because you're going to build these statues here, but in order to use them, by the end of round phase 3, you're going to have to transport them to these spaces, these Ahu spaces, so that they face inside like this, just like, the real island. The point is, though, in order to transport, you're going to need a unbroken connection of workers. Now, this does not have to be your workers. It could be yours and other players' workers. But let's just say, for instance, that I want to get my statue that I built from here, because I have enough workers to do this by myself. From here, so this would, and by the way, you can use the worker here as part of that chain. From here to this space, I would go boom, 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 boom. This guy would lay down because he is now fatigued for erecting this giant statue. This tile comes to me. I would gain its benefits, and you could use it an hour later. The other thing is, if I were to use my own characters, I get nothing while transporting. However, kind of like a train game, if I was to use, let's just say the green player is going using my blue people only. Each space that they pass, I would get to take the benefit from for that. Now, there is another section that you're going to be transferring. These are decorations that you're going to put on top of their heads. Isn't that awesome? You're going to be decorating the statues. The difference, instead of the statues giving you whatever's listed on the space, the decorations only give you the reeds. So reeds are these resources that you can use. Now, once you've done all this, in turn order, obviously because of the new turn order and etc., once you've done all this and transferred and placed and decorated and all that sort of stuff, once you've transferred and erected your statues, a large statue is going to give you 5 resources based on what's in that space. Now some of the spaces have. Once you've got your statue there, a large statue is going to give you 5 resources. You would track this right here. So let's just say we did this one. That would give me 5 eggs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Medium's going to give you 3, and a small one's going to give you 1. You'll get those resources for that. Once you've done the decorations, though, these allow you to trade in the resources to gain these favor tiles. These favor tiles are ways to get big points by the end of the game. I believe they're 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or something like that. This is 8, 7, 6. There's a lot of different points here that this comes down. So a lot of different ways to get points. So you can gain the top one of these by trading out 4 reeds. You're going to get the one that's 8 points. So that's a big chunk at the end of the game. The posted one here is worth 7. So that's a big chunk by the end of the game. This one is turning 4 reeds. This one's turning 4 eggs. This is turning 1 of the 4, one of each, and then 4 wood, 4 pearls. Those allow you to get those points there. You can also trade in the resources to get these benefit tiles. These are things that allow you to have nice little bonuses. You can get your chief into play. You can get your extra worker into play and everything like that using these upgrade tiles. And you build them. Granted, you can only build 3 of the 4. Just like this. You build them by paying the resource cost on your turn. So let's say I want to do this one. These are certain bonuses that are going to allow you to manipulate certain things, whether it gives you your chief out there or whether it gives you a better points, a better tile here, a better favor tile, offering tile when you build. So if I decorate it, instead of choosing the huts, I could take the top of the chicken stack with that one. So there's a lot of different options that you can do there. Essentially, though, the game is going to be placing your workers, manipulating the turn, and then running these statues and these decorations across the board onto the statues that you own, making sure that you have a non-fatigued worker who can put that up there. The game will end when there are fewer spaces than there are player counts, or as many or fewer. So let's just say that all of these now have spaces on them and there are only 2 unused Ahu spaces left. When that happens, the game will end. You will score. The person with the most points wins the game. It's a very, very simple game. I mean, it's really all about having your network built, using the resources to trade in for these goods, because you don't really use them for anything except upgrades and that, and then using the Ahu tiles as you get them to benefit you. That is Rapa Nui. Very simple, very straightforward, but it is 3D with that. So that's how you play.
So that is Rapa Nui. It is a game all about networks. It really, at its core, feels like a train game. Now, here's what I mean by that. If you imagine the Easter Island statues, I don't know the word. I'm messing it up. The statues as cubes and the workers that you're running the network for as trains, you're starting to feel like Steam or Age of Steam, right? Well, if you use my workers, I get some money. Basically, right? It is essentially a network building game that has really cool looking statues and really cool looking hats for those statues. But other than that, it's pretty simple. The worker placement isn't the most in-depth. You got one guy who picks turn order, and you got these other ones who pick your network, and then you got these guys who, if you put them down here, they build statues. Done. That's it. You're going to transfer stuff between them. You're going to transfer from this side out to those places, and you're going to transfer from here out to these places. And wherever you put those statues out, you're going to get those bonuses. Those bonuses are going to come in the way of resources. Those resources can then be spent to get points based on decorating those statues. So at the end of the day, it's actually a pretty streamlined game all about building a network and building statues. Is it the most difficult game in the world? No, in fact, it's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. Put workers out, they go out, you have a network. Can it be irritating if you just can't get the network built where you need it to be built? Absolutely. Is that the worst thing in the world? No, you kind of mitigate it. You do things to avoid that, right? As more workers go out there. But statues are out, you're building statues, you're getting these bigger statues for bigger points, or when I say points, of course, I mean more resources. I mean, you could get 5 of one type of resource if you build the bigger statue, right? So check it out. I'm curious to know what you think about this, because to me, it's a little simple. And I don't mean that in a necessarily pejorative way, but what I mean is it's not the most, and yeah, of course, the little tiles that give you the bonuses, I'm butchering it. They give you some extra bonuses, and sure, it's nice to have your upgrades. I do like that you can at any time spend those goods to get those upgrade tiles. That's always nice, getting the chief or getting more workers. But at the end of the day, the complexity isn't so much from what you're going to choose to do on your turn. It's, man, I hope this network thing lines up where I can at least go to the sea, right? Because essentially, if you can't, you're up the creek. Because if you cannot transfer it and set one up by round 3 or phase 3, you lose them, which means you lost all the work and that energy. So that's Rapa Nui. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm very curious because this is it is a game that is not the normal theme for this type of mechanic, if you know what I mean. So let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm Brian Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, etc. at Dice Tower Brian. Until next time, we'll see you.